such good shit!
Hey, Mark Rodriguez here, and it's another episode of the Diving Cutter Podcast, and with me is...
Johnny Rodriguez. Thanks for the invite, guys.
Hey, Ricky Rock's in the house, saying what's up to all you Hepcats and kittens out there in radio podcast land. Happy to be here, as always, with the crew of the Diving Cutter Podcast.
You know me, it's the one, the only Jack Knives from Jack Knives Reviews.
And introducing for the first time ever, we got a newcomer in the house that's a big fan of wrestling.
What's up, everybody? My name is DJF, not to be confused with that pompous-ass MJF. And yes, I am new to the Diving Cutter Podcast. I want to thank you guys for having me aboard. Looking forward to being a part of the show, and hopefully I can contribute something fun, new, maybe even controversial to what you guys bring to the table as well.
There's something fun and controversial that's been bothering me. Maybe you can help me with.
Okay, what's up?
Realize that, like, Rainbow Bright's got to be almost 50 by now? Like, is she still over there doing that shit? Like, riding that fucking horse and hanging out with the color kids? Or, like, do you think she went full, like, broken stripper and just said fuck it one day? You know, I could see it going either way, really. But these are the things that I think about when I'm sitting at home and the fucking power goes out.
Well, if I'm cool with Betty Boop being over 90 plus and she's still flirting with anthropomorphic dogs, I think everything's okay.
Welcome aboard, buddy. This is how we say hello.
Oh, God.
I have no words. That's an interesting question that you posed, and I think Jack kind of just took it and ran with it. So I'm going to side with Jack on this one.
Oh, my goodness. So before we get too hot for both YouTube and library, let's do this here. So we have the new pay-per-view AEW Full Gear is going to be coming next week. So, of course, like we always do, we do some predictions. And, of course, after the event has passed, we all come back. We kind of take a look and compare, you know, who was right, who was wrong. And whoever got the most wrong loses, and you'll have to do a punishment. For an example, last time we had Johnny Rodriguez check out Sonny's OnlyFans, as you can see here.
All right, let me check out Sony's OnlyFans. I mean, she can't be too bad. I mean, she was hot back in the day. All right, let's see how she looks like nowadays. Oh my God!
Oh boy, yeah, that wasn't fun, eh?
Aged 10 years in a day.
Wasn't.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, nowadays, I don't know what's going on with AEW. Like, not even their website has the matches. You have to go to Wikipedia or just Googling them and whatever. But here are the matches as they are so far. And there's always a possibility that they might just add last-minute ones on the pre-show and stuff like that.
I'm sure they will. They usually throw a bunch of guys on there last minute.
Yeah, well, gotta make their paychecks. So, let me see. Okay, let me get them in a certain order. So this one here is a singles match that is supposedly going to be part of the pre-show, the kickoff show. What's it called? What's it called, the kickoff show? No, the buy-in. Yeah, part of the buy-in. Thank you. It's Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. Is John Silver one of the Dark Order guys?
Yep. Yeah, he's the short, bald guy with the big muscles.
So why is he with Cassidy? Why are they arguing?
They interfered. He had a match last week. Cody defended the title last week against Orange Cassidy for the TNT title, and it was a lumberjack match. And at one point, for some reason, I have no idea why, because Orange Cassidy has not really done anything really with the Dark Order except kind of punk out Brody Lee. And during the match, the ref got distracted. I don't know why. Probably dropped his shoelace or something. And John Silver came in, and he punt-kicked Orange Cassidy, and then a lot of people didn't notice this, but actually Arn Anderson sucker punched Orange Cassidy too, and then Cody pinned him and got the 3 count. So that's basically why. So basically they're fighting because Silver cost Cassidy the title shot.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer, I guess, Orange Cassidy, just because everyone loves him so much. I mean, I don't know if the Black Order, the Dark Order would even care to send their goons after him. I don't know. It's just, I'll just say Cassidy. This is such a random ass match.
Yeah, I think it is just kind of one of those throwaway. Yeah, I'm going to go with Cassidy as well.
I think Orange Cassidy, I mean, I don't know. It's like one of those weird matches, but, you know, we all know how Orange Cassidy has his... He's going to win by doing weird gimmicks. That's all I'm going to say. Like the usual.
Oh, man, you know, I could see it going either way just in the sense of, like, if they want to keep a story going longer because, like, it does seem kind of thrown together. They really didn't have a ton of history going into that. Silver, you know, maybe they want to shine him up a little bit. I don't know. I always try to play devil's advocate. My head says Orange Cassidy, but, you know, you never know where things are going to go with this. But, I guess I'll just say Orange Cassidy because he's the easy pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do some shenanigans to set something further up down the road.
Yeah, this one's a little tougher for me because I think a lot of the other matches I can pretty much come up with a definitive answer based upon where things are going. But with this one, it really is such a random put-together match. I think it's just a matter of trying to get Orange Cassidy on the card. But it's weird to watch him fall from grace as much as he has. I mean, you go from feuding with Chris Jericho to now fighting with one of the disciples of the Dark Order, and it just doesn't really make a lot of sense storyline-wise. But, I mean, if like you said, if they're going to give John Silver the rub, which from what I've seen and heard, there's a lot of potential for John to really break out of the Dark Order. So this could be a great opportunity for it, even if they win by shenanigans. I mean, it keeps the feud going for a little bit longer. Orange can get his win back down the line. So I'm actually going to go against the grain and pick John Silver on this one.
I mean, I could definitely see that happening. You know, it's just one of those things where it seems like it would be logical. Like they said, Cassidy, you know, he's he's like the one of the high guys over there in AEW. Everybody's really high on him. But, you know, sometimes you got to kind of give somebody a little bit of a bump to make somebody else look good. And, you know, they can play it more long-term down the road if they do that, if they want to do that. So, you know, I could definitely see it going either way. These things tough to predict sometimes.
I would say it would be John Silver winning because I do like the Dark Order. But if it were anyone else, like if it were like Orange Cassidy versus Ken or Orange Cassidy versus Evil Uno, I'd probably give it to them. But because it's John Silver and they seem to keep playing this whole thing of he's the goof of the group, I just don't see him winning. The way they're booking him, I don't see him being like getting a one-over on Orange Cassidy.
It would be easier to predict if there was a little bit longer tail on the story that they're telling. You know, this kind of thing feels very thrown together last minute, to me anyway.
I'd have to agree with that.
It is.
Okay, so to clarify, because I remember I gotta take notes since we don't got Macho Taco on here. So me and Johnny went for Cassidy, and everyone else is going for Silver.
No, I said Cassidy, but
All
I
right.
could see it going either way.
You want me to take notes? I'll take notes.
I mean, I like to have them also on my own person, but if you want, you can take notes too. It just helps.
But don't forget to take notes on the over-under on that Rainbow Bright thing, too. That was...
Oh, my God. I guess let's go with Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara, the Elite Deletion match, which I can only think is possibly a makeup for the last one, which hopefully will not end in any potential, like, near fatalities and all that. I don't know. Well, in this case, since we don't have that stupid stipulation of, you know, if Matt loses, he has to quit or some bullshit like that, I'll give it to Matt Hardy because he can win, he can afford it. Sammy Guevara can still take the loss. He could get a rematch later or something. But yeah, without that kind of thing where if you lose, you got to leave and it's too soon for Matt to leave, I'm giving it to Matt Hardy.
Yeah, I would honestly say, from where I'm looking at over the last couple of months, you know, it seems like Matt needs the win more if he's going to actually continue to do things that are of relevance in AEW. Obviously, the last one was a wash. That was, you know, it was what it was. But he's kind of coming into this scenario right now almost like a beaten dog, and he's got to get something back. He's got to get some shine back. He's got to look strong at some point. And a win here would definitely help catapult him in that way. And at the same time, given that it's going to be one of those cinematic match deals, that gives them time to, you know, do as many takes as they need and clip it and edit it and you know, kind of smoke and mirrors. And in that, you know, it kind of could benefit the spectacle without making it, you know, oh my God, somebody might die. These kind of matches usually, you know, Matt invented them. They usually favor him. So I'm going to say Matt Hardy in this one. That's my prediction.
I gotta say one thing for the last match, though. It did give us a very strong-worded, emotional retro rocker last time.
Well, you know, I don't like seeing guys land on their fucking head.
Me either. I think, yeah, you and I had like a good, decent conversation about it. I just think.
Oh, yeah. People should check that out if they haven't. Go back to the previous Diving Cutter podcast and find out where me and Jack Knives really stand on the Matt Hardy oopsie daisy situation, in case you missed it.
See, my thing is I'm actually kind of going on the opposite with you guys. Because I think because there's no stipulation of, oh, like his career's on the line or whatever, I think it actually favors Sammy. I know Matt's going to use some shenanigans, probably with Vanguard 1 or, I don't know, shoot projections out of his butt. I don't know what he's going to do. But the truth is, I think ultimately it gives more of an edge to Sammy to kind of, you know, one up more. Because as he's already said, he's like, it's not over. He's not going to let it end. So I think for me personally, I'm going to pick Sammy.
See, and I do agree with the logic of that. Like, I always, you know, even when you and I disagree, you know, I can always see the logic in where you're coming from. I just think Matt needs it more because he's kind of had a little bit of a start-stoppy kind of introduction with AEW, and he hasn't really been put in a position to look good yet. You know, I think last time was supposed to be that. Obviously, it didn't go that way. So I feel like he needs it more. But I could definitely see Sammy Guevara taking it to continue the storyline. I'm just saying Matt needs it more, and that's basically where my prediction's coming from. But yeah, it could go the other way, easily.
I don't know, the way things were set up in the last match, it does, I don't know, it looks like Sammy actually has a shot. Like, he could actually win this match. And I think because the last time there were, you know, pretty graphic circumstances that happened, I think that kind of prevented from, you know, Sammy winning the match. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that he might win this match just to kind of go in that direction.
So we're 2-2. So what does the new guy have to say?
So I'll be the deciding factor. I'll give my weigh in here on this one. I think more than anything right now, Sammy needs this win. Sammy's kind of floundering right now. He doesn't really have any general direction. He's been feuding with Matt for a while now, but what's the end game for Sammy? Sammy needs a big, high-profile win to kind of motivate him to move to the next level, to take him out of this feud with Matt and move on to something bigger. I think, obviously, they're working towards a potential Sammy versus MJF thing down the line, but to get to that point, I really think Sammy's got to get this win. So because there's no stipulations, it's just going to be a fun match. There's always the chance of the Inner Circle interfering. Obviously, he's always going to have people watching his back. I think he's going to be able to pull off the win. I think it's going to be close in the end. I think Matt's going to have him right where he wants him. There's going to be some type of interference, probably from Jake Hager, and Sammy's going to get the dupe and, you know, kind of use that whole, you know, moving forward, putting somebody over the top, you know, giving him the rub. I think this is good for Matt because Matt doesn't need this win. Matt's already established enough. If he loses to Sammy, it's not going to hurt him at all. So I chalk this one up to Sammy walking away with the win.
See, I only disagree with that because I think it would hurt Matt in the sense that, like, what's he done since they brought him there? You know, that's the only thing I'm saying. Like, it's been very start-stoppy. But I definitely see where you're going as far as Sammy's long-term value as well. I just feel like sometimes they bring these guys in, and I said this last time with Cardona, sometimes they bring these guys in for the pop. Like, oh, we got a WWE guy, and then they don't do anything with them. And I feel like that's a problem they have, where it's like, okay, yeah, you got to put some new guys over, but some of these guys, they just, like, they come in and they get that pop for the first 2 weeks, and then it's like, oh, yeah, they do work there, don't they? And I feel like that's the thing that has me leading towards Matt. But definitely as far as, like, who needs it more long-term, yeah, I'd agree with what you just said. Yeah, I just think it's more of a problem I have with AEW's overall booking of, like, when they get these WWE guys in. But that's a whole other conversation.
Are you discounting the important thing, the essential thing that Matt Hardy has been providing, and that is clapping for the private party to come out to the entrance? That is vital to this company.
Well, I mean, you gotta have goals.
All right, so for the next match here, we've got FTR, which is fuck the revival or whatever you want to stand for. Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood with Tully Blanchard there. And they're going to go against everyone's favorite, Ricky Rox's favorite tag team, the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson. Now, if the Young Bucks lose...
To be fed to a wood chipper. Make sure you say it in full.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, this is I think, it's a tag team championship match, isn't it? But the thing is, if the Young Bucks lose this match, they will never challenge for the AEW World Tag Team Championship belt ever again. So that's an interesting stipulation there.
Oh, I love those stipulations. That totally doesn't give the house away at all.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. So...
Like, if I lose, I'm going to cut my balls off right here in the middle of this ring. That's how bad I want to win. It's like, oh, okay.
I don't know. Like the stipulation kind of makes it obvious that the Young Bucks are going to win it, but I feel FTR just won the fucking titles. You know what I mean? You haven't had them, 2 months or something like that? Like, they can't lose them that quickly. Like, what the fuck? Especially with Tully Blanchard backing them, you know? So, damn. I mean, they'll think of something. I don't know. I'll give it to FTR anyway. I know it's against better judgment, but I'm going to say FTR anyway. They'll find some loophole or some other tag team's gonna... Because that's the thing with these stipulations. Like, they always say that, like, the Young Bucks or Cody or whoever can never challenge, but they never say the other person cannot challenge them. We haven't had that happen yet with Cody, but they could easily have some other tag team down the line challenge the Young Bucks to get around this. I'm going to give it to FTR now and see if they can retain their titles.
It's a good point. It's my turn. Oh, for me, God, like I said, one of the things, and I brought this up on the last podcast, one of the things I do like about AEW is that usually you can make a strong case from either direction for these kind of pay-per-view matchups because, from either side, it's kind of a pick-em because, like you said, I could see it going a whole number of different ways. They could pull shenanigans and say, oh, well, we just said we'd never challenge FTR for the belts. And then if FTR loses to somebody else, then the Young Bucks could challenge them. There's 100 different things. Like you said, FTR could get mad at them one day down the road and challenge the Young Bucks and say, this time we'll put you out for good. There's 100 different things they could do. It is a little too soon for FTR to lose the belts, I think. But, the Young Bucks are kind of like... I was saying this to somebody the other day. There's certain characters in wrestling where if they're not either holding the belt or pursuing the belt, they really don't even have a reason to be there. And I feel like, to a degree, that's kind of like where they're at. Because otherwise, they're just, a couple acrobats. It's like we've seen everything they do, and we've seen it 100 times. And some people are sick of it. Hand goes in the air. Some people just don't really impress that easy, and they kind of wish that, these guys would just kind of maybe take a step back or something. But at the same time, it's like, well, if they're not chasing the belt, then why are they even there? And especially because, again, they're the author. So, I really want FTR to win it. I really do. And they might. They really could find a way to finagle it and have them win and have the Bucks come back 6 months in a year and get another shot. Maybe. I'm going to call it for the Bucks on this one, though. I don't know. I'm not going to give creative that much credit for being that creative and thinking a year down the line. I think, call me crazy, but this time I'll say the Bucks, even though I'd rather see FTR win.
What say you, Johnny?
Wow, this is okay. So I'm really not familiar, but pretty much like what Ricky has said. The Young Bucks, they're like everywhere. They do so many gimmicks, and I'm not saying that they're not talented wrestlers in a way, but I think we've seen it like too many times, and I don't know. It's like it's. I feel like either or in this kind of match, but I think I'm gonna gamble, and I don't know. Just say the FTR, just because I'm kind of tired of the Young Bucks, anyways. So I'll just give it at that.
Hey, you gotta avoid that Sunny OnlyFans, boy.
Hey, I hated the Young Bucks before it was cool to hate them. Let's just get that on the record. But here's my thing. See, I didn't. This is what bugs me. I didn't even know the stipulation was they could never challenge again, because they didn't even say that on Dynamite. Like, they barely even mentioned anything about that. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? That's kind of a major thing. You'd think they would kind of, build it up a little more. But truth be told, I mean, I'm utterly at a confusion of who's going to win. I mean, it is called All Young Buck. I mean, Elite Wrestling. I don't know who could possibly win in this match, but no. Honestly, come on. We know it's the Young Bucks. They're going to win. But what doesn't make any sense is the way they're booking them. Is that they're bad guys, but then they're promoting the shit out of them, and I'm just like, wait, what are they? Because they're literally super kicking interviewers every night, every week. They're hitting people, like not wrestlers. Like, they super kicked Tony Schiavone, they super kicked the camera guy, they super kicked the guy asking them a question, they super kicked like another guy backstage. They went in and kicked a whole nother tag team, but not FTR. And then I'm like, yet, what did they do? Let's promote their book. Let's promote their other stuff. Oh man, they're one of the best tag teams. I'm like, what? What are you doing?
Well, to me, it's like, well, they looked at, that whole Shawn Michaels run from like 2005 to 2008, where he was kind of doing that kind of crap, and it was like, well, he's so over that he can be a heel, but still get cheered like a babyface. And clearly, they think, both of them guys, their whole outlook on life is like, oh, I'm Shawn Michaels that shrunk in the wash, but that's their gimmick, right? So they kind of book themselves to kind of walk that same angle, but it's them and not him, so it doesn't really work.
There's a reason you can't book every wrestling team like the NWO. There's a reason it doesn't work that way. Because the NWO was different. Like, you have to book the heels as a heel, you have to book the heroes as a hero, and then let them slowly transition. You can't whiplash the audience, because then the audience doesn't know what the hell to do. And I think that being said, I'm going to have to go with the Young Bucks, because there's no way, honestly, think about how egotistical the Young Bucks are. There's no way they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'll totally sign off on never winning the tag team titles in a company we started. Come on. You honestly see them doing that? Come on. That'd be like Vince McMahon saying, well, you know what? If I lose this match, I'll never step foot in WWE again. It's like, oh, gee, I wonder what's going to happen.
Well, to be fair, they did stick to that for a couple of months. You know what I don't get?
But like I said, I'm sticking with Young Bucks, unfortunately.
You know what I don't get about the Bucks? Why the hell is the one dude so much more tan than the other dude? Like, does the one guy go tanning and the other one just sits in the car? Like, can they only afford one membership at the fucking... I don't get it.
He has a duffel bag full of spray tan.
We all do, but that's, it still doesn't explain the whole night and day aspect. It's like fucking Princess Celestia and Princess Luna sitting there fucking,
Going deep for the bronies there.
Labels divide people, sir.
Well, I'll jump in here, and tanning habits aside, looking at this on paper, I got a real Brainbusters versus Rockers feel to it, and I love that. because that's what I grew up on. You know, I'm 35. I had such a wide variety of tag team wrestling growing up that I watched, and it started with teams like the Brainbusters versus the Rockers. So to me, I love that throwback, which is what we're getting, and I think that is what they're going for here. Do I think the stipulation was needed? No, absolutely not. I don't think you need to add. I don't think every match in the world needs a stipulation. I think the tag titles speak for themselves. But when they started the company, guys like Omega, Cody, and the Bucks, they kind of backed themselves into a corner here because you know that they're the main guys on the roster. That's who people are tuning in to watch. So you want to see them in the main event. You want to see them competing for belts. But if they win the gold, then everyone's going to say, well, that's just because they run the company. Of course, they've got the belts. So you got to be leery of that backlash right off the bat. So, you know, now that Cody has the TNT title, you know, now it's like, okay, can we move slowly into the Bucks winning the tag titles without a backlash? Could we see Kenny get that title shot and win the belt and there be no backlash about the ownership being brought up again? I think you have to keep that in the back of your mind that they're just trying to appease the fans and not be like, hey, we started a company and we're going to give ourselves all the titles, which I half expected them to, and I wouldn't blame them because you're trying to draw in an audience. But they're at the point now where I think it's okay to do that. And this is clearly a match a lot of people were clamoring for a long time. You know, who's the best tag team? FTR said it for a couple of years that they were the best. Bucks have been claiming it for years. So now you get to see that. Who's really the heel in this match? I don't care for FTR as faces, and I kind of dig the Bucks as that tweener heel where like you want to boo them, but they're kind of badass because they don't care. They're just two kids who are following their dreams, and hey, they're super kicking people for fun. Like you said, Shawn Michaels, you know, a few years back. So I don't really know who the face is, who I'm supposed to cheer for. So I guess it's kind of a win-win for me because whoever wins beat a team that's not supposed to win. So based upon that and the history and the tag titles and that stupid stipulation, I got to go Bucks in this one because I really think they're leaning towards building up the elite again, being the elite, running things on the show. And I really hope for the sake of this that the FTR are slowly moving towards a potential 4 horsemen stable. I'm a big fan of stables as it is, so maybe we'll get the elite versus the newly formed 4 horsemen, but I'm sure there'll be a new name for it. So that's my take on it. I think this is going to be building to something bigger down the line, and the Bucks bring the straps home.
Just to interject briefly on something you touched on, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of chatter on that old internet there about people being like, with this match, it's like pretty much heel versus heel, and a lot of people like, I don't even know who I'm supposed to root for in this. Because there's definitely something unlikable about the Young Bucks, and you know FTR is FTR. So, but I mean it should be a good match. I expect FTR to kind of ground some of the silliness of it, But it's definitely from a booking standpoint, a character standpoint, it's kind of an odd mix. But I just want to interject on that.
No, and that's a good point. You don't normally see heel versus heel because it's really hard to push storyline-wise because you need somebody to be invested in one of the participants in the match, if not one full team. And who you invested in? You go with FTR, who are the new guys who were, trying to make a name for themselves in AEW, and they've got the belts and they're trying to build a long run, or do you go with the Bucks, who are seasoned and everyone knows who they are and they're cool because they're the Young Bucks and they were part of the Bullet Club? Like, who do you pull for? Well, there is no definitive answer here, so it's interesting with that heel versus heel dynamic.
Nash told me one time. I'm sorry, real quick. Nash told me one time, dropping them names. We're sitting there just bullshitting, and he says to me, "Everybody wants to be the cool heel nowadays," and he's very self-aware. He understands that he kind of started that whole thing. He's like, but at some point, you have to, even though everybody's a tweener now, you have to do something to establish, for the purpose of the match, who's the face and who's the heel. Because otherwise, you don't get the reactions you want. So at some point, somebody has to friggin' shoot the sheriff or fucking kick the dog or something. Otherwise, they're cheering for the moves maybe, but not the story of the match. And the story of the match is what people are going to remember. So I think he's a guy who kind of knows what he's talking about. And he perfected the whole cool heel thing. But at the end of the day, he was always willing to throw Ray into that trailer or, do something dirty or play chicken shit. You know, he always made himself the heel when it mattered. No matter how many cool promos he did or how many times he ran his fucking fingers through his hair, he's always like, when the time came for the bell to ring, I was the fucking heel. Didn't matter what I did before that. And there's a wisdom to that, you know?
My whole thing is, and this is why I get irritated with the whole, I agree a lot with what you said, DJF, but my big gripe, and ultimately this is what it comes down to, with not just the Young Bucks, with the whole elite. There's only one member of the 5 guys that started this company that has not booked themselves in a godly status, and that's Hangman. He's the only one. Literally everyone else, here's the thing. Mark even said it when we first did the very first AEW predictions video. When we first talked about it, Mark even said, I'm not that familiar with what Kenny Omega could do. I'm not familiar with him as a wrestler. So for them to immediately go, this is the best in the world. They are the best in the world. Did we mention they're the best in the world? Knock, knock, who's there? The best in the world tag team. Holy shit, tag team, best in the world. Every time the Young Bucks are on screen, every single time, when you have to tell the audience they're the best, the audience is going to start saying, are they? Because you keep inserting them into shit. They're not the best anymore. It's the same reason, it really is fatigue. It's fan fatigue. It's the same exact reason people hated Roman Reigns. They got shoehorned with Roman Reigns. Had nothing to do with Roman. It wasn't his fault. He's just the guy.
Hey, hold on there. That's different. That's Roman Reigns. That's the big dog. That's good shit.
Well, here's the thing. Roman is actually more popular, like, with wrestling fans now because he's getting over organically. And you let them get over organically. Don't tell everyone you're the best. Just do it. If you want to show that you're the best in the world, show it. Don't tell everybody. FTR didn't have to go around saying, man, we're the best, they just went in and they did their best. They did good jobs. They had good matches. Every match that they've had on AEW has been a good match. With the exception, I think, of one mixed tag team. But other than that, for the most part, they've had good matches. But the Young Bucks have been kind of half and half, really good matches, and then really floppy matches, and then really boring matches, and then really good matches. So it's but you hear, literally, really listen to when JR talks about the Young Bucks. All he does is talk about how good they are. When you have to have the announcers tell you how good you are, you're not that good. Realistic.
To your point, didn't Tully or somebody recently, they cut a promo about this very thing, and they're like, you could say you're the best in the world as much as you want, but the best in the world is who has the belts. And if you don't have the belts, you're not the best in the world.
I mean, they literally had, think about this, they literally had the Rock and Roll Express, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard in the ring to brag about how good the Young Bucks were. Think about that. Have you ever seen that happen in any other wrestling organization? Constantly them bragging about a team, one specific team over and over again, without them having the credentials to build it for that company? No. It doesn't happen, but it does with this company. And what gets under my skin is, literally, it's just exactly what Tully said. Tully literally said it, flat out called it. He's like, you could have us old fogies tell you that you're the best in the world, that you're the greatest, that you're all this, but look what I don't see any belts. I don't see any gold. I don't see any silver on you or you. I don't see any silver. How can you call yourself the best if you don't got the proof? And that's what I said. That's literally all I'm saying. Show me the proof. Show, not me. I know how the Young Bucks wrestle. I've watched them since New Japan. But I want to see the Young Bucks prove they're the best in the world. Not tell us, prove us that they're the best in the world. I've still yet to see it from Cody, and Cody comes out and literally gets called he gets called, he has 5 nicknames. Listen to Cody when he comes out. He has 5 nicknames. He literally comes out, he goes, he is the son of a plumber. He is the prince of pro wrestling, the American Nightmare, the undisputed undefeated TNT World Champion Cody. And I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to bump it up to about 8 if he's up to 5, because, you know, on any given night, I'm the god of thunder, the lord of rock and roll, the icon of old school, the god of glam rock, your ex-wife's favorite pro wrestler, the reason she's your ex-wife. I'm going to have to bump it up to like 8 if he's up to 5 already. Holy shit. But see, I'm supposed to be a scumbag, even when I'm a heel, or a face, rather. I'm still kind of a jerk-off. So it makes sense. Like, you don't do that shit if you want people to like you.
For someone who's already hot, we got the women's match here. We got our favorite champion, Hikaru Shida, who, by the way, dressed up as a very alluring Jill Valentine from Resident Evil for this past Halloween. There'll be pictures as I'm saying this. She'll be defending her title against Nyla Rose, who this time has Vicky Guerrero, excuse me, in her corner. I know. And, I mean, shenanigans are abound. For me, for my sake, I am really, really hoping that Hikaru Shida wins and retains the title. I'm kind of worried, though, because Vicky's there now, but I'm hoping Hikaru wins the title. And let me just hurry up and give a quick shout out here if I can find this person real quick while I'm on the subject. This real cool artist that actually found me on Instagram. I got an artist here named Ninja Panda 1980, and he's currently drawing a picture that eventually will be Chun-Li versus Hikaru Shida. So cool shout out there. I'll mention and I'll link his Instagram for his artwork and stuff, because I can't wait to see that one. That's gonna be fucking awesome. I just hope that Hikaru Shida retains, because it'll be perfect that he's drawing it while she's still champion. So yeah, I'm voting for my bae, Hikaru Shida.
What do you got, Johnny? Since I jumped the gun on the last one you already answered. What do you got on this one?
It's a tough match, too, because, you know, Nyla Rose is a big powerhouse, and there's Vicky Guerrero, so there could always be some cheating involved here. But I still think that in the end, Hikaru Shida will win the match. Just so talented, and you know, she's just like a really like an A-class wrestler. So I give it to her. I mean, yeah, she would be a good person to win the match.
I can imagine Vicky Guerrero pulled out like a loudspeaker. They already said "excuse me" or something in the middle, like they say he calls on the ropes, and that is so loud, so obnoxious, so ear splitting. She like slips off the ropes, and that's how Nyla Rose catches her and wins.
I can see them doing that. You're giving them ideas. Now, you know, oh man, you know, this is another one where who I want to win probably isn't who's gonna win. You know, on the one hand we got Hikaru Shida, and then on the other hand we've got the internet's favorite women's wrestler, Nyla Rose. And everybody knows how popular she is on that internet. And then in her corner you got Vicky Guerrero, who, man, there's no nice way to say it, so just I'm really sorry what happened to her husband, but Jesus, I can't, like, she's on my Mount Rushmore of people in wrestling who I never want to see again. It's just, I'm sorry for what happened, but that was almost 20 years ago now. She's never been entertaining, to me anyway. She's always had that go-away heat. I have always consistently left the room or changed the channel whenever she's been on TV. Oh God, it's just, it is what it is. So, kind of not really too interested in this one personally. I would like for Hikaru Shida to win it, but I have a feeling they're going to give it to Nyla Rose because of a lot of reasons. Some of those reasons without, you know, being mean or anything, but some of them are kind of like, you know, political reasons. But also, away from that, you got the heel manager, and if you don't have the heel manager help the heel cheat to win a belt, you don't need the heel manager. So I just think a lot of reasons Nyla Rose is probably going to win this. And there's been a lot of talk on the internet over the last few months even, like, when are they going to put the belt back on her? Because, you know, otherwise, why is she there? Why is she doing this angle and X, Y, Z? So I kind of could see that being the case, but I hope I'm wrong. I would much rather see Hikaru Shida win this one, but I just got a feeling.
All right, yeah, I'll jump in on this one here. I think it's kind of one of those things where you know who you want to see win, just like you said, who your heart says, but then your brain steps in and goes, well, this time we're going to outweigh you. And I'm sorry, right now, Sheeta's having some of the best matches on Dynamite as it is. And I'm not talking about just female matches, I mean matches as a whole. She's had some really great competition, which has led to some really great matches. But I think it's time to put the belt on Nyla. I think Nyla Rose, I just think at this point, they're just going to move forward with her and Vicky and run with that for a little bit. Do I think Sheeta could get the belt back down the line? Absolutely. Will it be from Nyla? I don't know. Nyla was built as this monstrous female heel, and then she kept losing these really crucial matches, so it was taking away all of her credibility. I almost chalk it up to the Samoa Joe stigma that he had in TNA. They built him up as this monster heel, and he was, even as a face, he couldn't win the big one. He couldn't get the job done, and by the time it happened, it was too late. So you were just kind of like, I just don't think this is going to work.
But his matches with Kurt Angle were the bomb, though. You got to admit
Oh
that.
my god!
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To this day,
Absolutely.
I run into people sometimes who are like, I never really watched Kurt Angle in TNA because I didn't watch TNA, and then I have to kill them. But the problem, it's just, oh god, Kurt Angle to me, like, it was the ultimate form of Kurt Angle, particularly the Samoa Joe feud. But it was
Absolutely.
it was like his final form Pokemon stage of Kurt Angle. I don't know shit about
Kurt Angle, Ultra Instinct.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
but he
really
headbutted
did feel
Joe
like
at his fucking debut, and just, oh my god, they just spent a year dropping guys on her head. I was like, why was he ever in the WWF? Like, he should have been this guy the whole time.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
agree.
none of my business.
I think he should have, after his match with Lesnar, at WrestleMania 20 or 20.
19.
Was it 19? I think after WrestleMania 21, Kurt should have just dropped off and gone to TNA, and it would have been better for his career in the long run. But that's me personally. Anyway, I'm getting off the side. Are you still going, DJF, or did I cut you off?
No, I think, as much as my heart wants Sheeta to win, I really think they're going to pull the trigger on Nyla getting that belt. It's probably going to be because of some stupid interference with Vicky to add to that heel dynamic between the two of them. But on this one, I will take an L if it means that Sheeta keeps the belt. So we'll see.
Now, I have a theory. Now, a lot of people go like, wow, you're kind of, if I get this right, man, we're going to start calling me the wrestling Nostradamus, but here's my theory. Okay. So I may be one of only 5 people who's actually watched the women's AEW tournament on YouTube. But here's the thing. I believe, first off, I think Nyla Rose is going to win. But it also goes into the reason, because everyone kept saying, why is Vicky Guerrero there? Why is Vicky Guerrero there? And
Because God hates me?
No. I think the real reason is because you watched the women's tournament. There was a person that was on commentary. A lot of people were like, it's just some random person. A lot of people didn't know who she was. I knew right away who she was, and I think Vicky Guerrero being her manager is a backdoor into her interfering to get Nyla the title, so she will come back and be a part of the AEW women's roster, and that is Sol Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero and his daughter, the one who's wrestled in Stardom, the one who wrestled in the WWE Performance Center, but they didn't want to use her. This, I believe, is a backdoor entrance into Sol Guerrero becoming a part of AEW. And if that happens, dude, she would really help elevate the roster in the women's division. And then eventually probably maybe, betray Nyla and then, win the title. So I think Nyla's going to win, but I also think it's going to be a backdoor entrance into Sol Guerrero becoming a part of the women's roster.
Now, two things. Now, that is actually a very interesting perspective, because I actually haven't heard anybody talking about that. You're right. You are the first. So if this is what comes to pass, you definitely get credit for being 3 miles ahead of the curve. That is
well, because she was on the commentary and no one has mentioned it. Literally, no one has mentioned, hey, she was on commentary. Because people forget, before Vicky became Nyla's manager, she did do commentary spots for Dynamite. She did do like 1 or 2 for Dynamite AEW Dark, and then she did Dynamite. She did one thing at Dynamite, which is why she got cut out of WWE and they don't want anything to do with her now. But
and then the other point is mentioning, famous wrestling daughters, and then you said backdoor that made me think of it. Whew, what about that Aaliyah Mysterio angle? Huh? Huh?
Oh, it also, I even just thought of it. What if that leads into another backdoor angle that could kind of be like foreshadowing later for Tessa Blanchard going to AEW, because Tully Blanchard's there. You know what I'm saying?
Now, if we're talking about backdoor angles, I don't know, Tessa Blanchard or Aaliyah, that'd be a coin toss about which backdoor angle I'd rather work.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to go there.
Of course, that's why you have me on.
My vote is for Tessa, though.
That's why you have me on.
I vote for Tessa. I claim that backdoor angle.
We're all fired.
You can whoop my ass any day of the week.
Lenny and Lodi just showed up with a briefcase full of paperwork from corporate saying we're off the air.
Let's name drop.
Oh, yeah, I make dated references out the ass. I'm like the fucking Dennis Miller of internet wrestling podcasts.
But legitimately, if I get this right about the whole Sol Guerrero being like a backdoor entrance, I am officially going to say, fuck you, Steven Larson. I got this.
I owe you a box of crisp Cheez-Its if you win that one, bro.
But yeah, so long story, I'm going with Nyla, just like DJF. I really just don't see, to be honest, it's nothing against Sheeta. She is very, very talented. That's the problem. She's so talented that no one else looks good compared to her. The only person she's had like a legit, like, wow, like epic fight with is Thunder Rosa. And then that's it. And now that she's not the NWA champion, she can't be back in the company. And they gave it to Serena Deeb. So, and she's not really that good a wrestler, to be honest. But honestly, I just don't see. Yeah, I just don't see Sheeta. Like it's like what I said the last time when we had that match with her at All Out. I kept thinking, like, where do you go from here? You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much Sheeta can really do anymore. Nothing against her as a talent. She's very talented. It's just that's the problem. She's talented, but who else can step up to her? You know what I mean? If Nyla beat her with shenanigans, I could see that being like a whole angle of like, oh well, she didn't really beat. You know what I mean? Like build into more bigger matches or what. But
shenanigans.
Yeah. But that's my whole thing. So I'm going with
if Sheeta wins though, they have an opportunity. They could even puff her up a little bit because she's beaten everybody. Now, see, this is what I would do. Is you could maybe rebrand her a little bit, give her a new gimmick, new theme music, and have her come out as Sheeta, Princess of Power. Huh?
Oh my God.
And then she'd come out with the music with a Sheeta with that synthesizer.
Oh my God! If Sheeta wins, she will
give me the pencil. This is why.
If Sheeta wins, she'll literally come out on Dynamite and go, I will challenge any of the 3 women on the roster who ever want to fight me. All 3 of you at once. I will fight each of you. I will beat all 3 of the only women that work in this company.
Oh, God. Okay.
This is very mean-spirited.
Yeah.